A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us today on the show, the Thursday edition. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Quite a few things to talk about on the show tonight. But as usual, my colleague Austin Okon-Akpan is with me as we do this together. Nice to see you again, Austin.
Sporty greetings to you, Yemi. It's also good to see you. Shout out to everyone joining us from different parts of the world. I see it's hot in Lagos after that Nigeria Football Federation Annual General Assembly, Yemi.
Yeah, and that's going to form a large part of what we're going to talk about today. And as someone who knows a lot about, the things happening behind the scenes, you fill us in with your insights as to what we saw and what we did not see. It's going to be very interesting to get your perspective on all of that. If you don't mind, let me take a quick rundown of what to expect on the show tonight. We'll talk about what you just said. It's going to form a large chunk of what we're going to be talking about and some of the things that will follow as a result of the annual general meeting today. We'll do that. We'll talk about the Falconets. They've made us proud. They've been doing things that's making us happy. We'll talk about them even as we move on. We'll also talk about athletics. Of course, people in that federation congratulating themselves on what has been a successful few months. And we will talk about them even as we move on. Then the under-23 Eagles will get our attention as well as we move on the show. Basically, Austin, that's the outlook of the show today. Let's get the ball rolling before we bring in our partner in the Lagos studio. And I'll give the floor to you. You have set the tone as it really is. The annual general meeting of the NFF is what dominated the news today.
That's right, Yemi, the 77th NFF Annual General Assembly. A lot of back and forth. We know that there are some bad blood, going on right now in the Nigeria Football Federation. And we see this every year when it's, gets into the time of elections. But one thing has been cleared today at that AGA, Amaju Pinnick, the current president of the Nigeria Football Federation, has said he will not be going for a third term, so we're going to have a new president of the NFF. They have also chosen September the 30th to have that Congress in Benin City. And Benin City seems to be the place where some of these things always go down. So pictures coming from the Nigeria Football Federation Annual General Assembly that took place today in Lagos. And, while these guys try not to talk about the elections, definitely it was part of, the major conversation in the back, because people just talk about these things and find a way to, who delegates, to vote for them when it's time for the elections. They also mentioned the status. I won't get to listen to Shehu Diko. He talked about the NFF status and that there's a need for a review to be done. But basically, these guys just came together today to talk about football development in Nigeria. What's the way forward? What sort of leader are we going to have now that Amaju Pinnick is out of the way? Before we bring in Bolu, let's just listen to Amaju Pinnick, who is the president of the NFF, and Sheyi Akiwumi, who is the first vice president of the Nigeria Football Federation. They've been reacting right after this NFF General Assembly meeting that took place today in Lagos. We'll come back to talk some more on the show. Stay with us.
We're happy, finally, after about 9 months, we're able to sit here and stand here to have this annual General Assembly. A lot of things have gone through the bridge. A lot of water has gone through the bridge. Some dirty, some clean. But today, football ultimately will be the winner by the special grace of God. I want to thank you for all what you have done for us in the last 4 years, last 8 years. I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it, because ultimately this is going to be my penultimate annual General Assembly. I want to believe I've served you guys, I've served the Congress and members of the Executive Committee very, very well. In the last 8 years, when one of my mentors, Aminu Megeri, handed over the Congress to me, he handed one indivisible unit. And if I'm going to hand the Congress over to whoever is going to be president, I want to hand over to the Congress as one indivisible unit. That's why a lot of things going on last night to this morning, we had to bend. By God's grace, I've done my part. In everything, there's a season. And the season to take a bow for me is now. And I've decided long ago not to be your president as from the next election. But I still remain the boss. And I believe all of you know that. Proudly, I still remain an integral part of you, and I will always be part of you.
Amaju Pinnick at the NFF Annual General Assembly. He says he's still the boss, you know, so, and we'll get to know, and he made a very good statement, Yemi, when he said he wants to hand over to a united, you know, Congress of the NFF. I think that's very, very important, because whether or not they admit it, whether or not they're not showing it, we know that there are some disagreements, some infightings, but at this point, we don't care. We just want them to be professional and take football from the level where it is to a better place. Hopefully, we're going to get a reformer that will turn around what football is at the moment in Nigeria.
I hope so too. I hope so too. And it's good to have the house intact. Whatever differences that they have, they need to sort it out in the interest of Nigerian football. And even the NFF president alluded to some of the things happening behind the scenes. Usually things like this happen when we're moving towards the time an election will take place. And also one of the things that he also did, he offered advice to the public on how to relate with whoever is going to be the next NFF president. We should not throw them under the bus after whatever we feel to be a less than desirable performance. Austin, with your permission, let me quickly bring in Bolu into what we're doing on the show tonight. He has some interesting takes on some of the things. Bolu, good to see you. Thanks for being with us on the show tonight. You were smiling all through, but, well, thanks for taking our time to be with us on the show.
Good to be again on this lovely Thursday evening. It felt like Austin was in my head for his opening speech. I was thinking on the cold Thursday, but the day was really hot. But at least the most important thing is the meeting held. There were reports earlier that there could be chaos, especially from the players' union angle. A will be there. If B is not there, the meeting will not hold and everything. And despite all the yes, the no's, the disagreement, I think one thing I have to bring out from everything is the election is coming up in September. Some of us have felt we didn't like that Nigeria didn't qualify for the World Cup, but for the election to hold, I think that's a good angle to it. There's always something to pick out from. So it's good to be again. And you just cannot but mention the young flying girls, Falconets, who went down in the second minute, but they still fought hard to get themselves back in this tournament. I think that's the beauty of them. I thought to myself that after going down a goal, how would they react? And before you say Jack Robinson, they got back the equalizer from the spot and again got the second goal. So the Falconets are really, really flying. Super Falcons, be careful. These girls are coming up.
Even though we're going to talk about the ladies later on, but now what we are doing, we're trying to digest everything that happened today. Let me go back to Austin. Austin, you talked about wanting to listen to those other guys, key players, NFF first vice president, and of course the second vice president. I think it's important we listen to them to also get their take on how everything is panning out.
Whoever is going to come, they shouldn't chase him away if Nigeria fails to qualify for any major tournament. Because the next person that's going to come, they're going to put him under pressure. You know, because football is not about, we want to win. Everybody wants to win. So when you say, oh, Pinnick is mad, Nigeria did not win, do you think I don't want to win? Are you telling me I don't want to win? Do you understand? So, but it's football. It can go either way. So we must imbibe that culture of allowing the president mature on their job. Whether we win or not, correct him where you need to correct him. Like us, when we didn't qualify, what did we do? We sat down as the executive committee. Let's go back to our youth system. Look at the result. Wafu, under 17. Wafu, under 20. All our women didn't qualify for the World Cup. And today, look at our girls. They were camped in Colombia. They come here, come to Colombia, quality campaign gives you quality results. And today, look at what they are doing. Beat 3 giants in women's football: South Korea, France, and Canada.
You don't change the goalposts on the eve of an election. We do accept, I mean, I do accept at least, that there's statistics, a lot of review, and it's not just about including, expanding in fact, that's the list of the problem that we have. It needs to be brought up to 2022. It needs to take cognizance of digital and many other things. So, but it can't be done in this short time. It's not possible. It will take at least, if we do it properly, it will take 6 months to a year.
All right. You listen to the guys. Your take?
Okay, so Amaju Pinnick said some things that, well, we can hold on to as we await, the Congress to give us a new president of the NFF. But if you win the Under-20 Women's World Cup, you win the Under-17 Men's World Cup, and then you even go to the Olympics and win gold. If all of this happen in a year when the Super Eagles are supposed to qualify for the World Cup and they don't, Amaju Pinnick, Nigerians won't understand that. They will not, particularly at a time when they're expecting the Super Eagles to, just have it easy to the World Cup, because a lot is tied to qualifying for the World Cup: commercial gains, strategic partnerships, the players themselves. Right after the World Cup, you can start hoping to play big competitions. The fans, the people, bragging rights, so much, is tied around the World Cup, so it's going to be difficult. He said something about don't put pressure on the new person if he doesn't qualify for a major competition. Nigerians will put pressure. That's why we're asking for a reformer. That's why we're asking for someone who can come around and consolidate on the things that have been achieved. I like what he said about what we're doing now with the age grade. That should have been what we would have been doing from scratch. For the 8 years that Amaju Pinnick has been available, we should have been doing that so that by now we will be counting the blessings. I'm not saying it's not good with what we're doing now, but we should always think about building from at the bottom to the top, which is fantastic for the development of football. I love that they are having these conversations, but the ones that they are not bringing out, I think they should start coming to tell us now, so that September the 30th, we would not hear more stories there.
I hope we don't. I'm very sure we're not doing this alone. I'm very sure you're interested in bringing Bolu into it. I'm interested in doing that as well. So I don't know where you want us to start from. A lot of ground to cover.
Let's go, Bolu, before we get to listen to Asheo Diko. It's going to be a very important election for a new president. What sort of president are you hoping to get?
Well, first of all, I'm always scared when or the president, I think it has to be first of someone that understands the game. Sometimes you don't have to be an ex-player. With the statutes they have, I don't even think an ex-player can win the election, because the states have majority of the votes. But apart from that, the person needs to understand the game. Because if, for example, I'm the president and I'm not more of a football person, or I just know I like football, there will be lapses. We've seen club administrators in NPFL that understand the game. We see the output. And we've seen club administrators that don't understand the game. We see the output. So I think first of the person needs to understand the game. You talked about building from bottom up. I like our underage now. They are pushing step by step, both the boys and the girls. But if we had started this some 8 years ago, probably would have, the key players in Super Falcons and Super Eagles now would maybe be scared of competition, because these young guys would have grown over the years. So we need someone that understands the game. We need someone who cares more about the athletes than the administrators, because I say it all the time, without the athletes, without the competitors, all the administrators to an extent are useless in quotes. So we need someone who understands them. We need someone who puts them first. Not that, okay, like the last WAFCON, we heard from the minister that they got the budget 2 weeks before the tournament. There will always be problems. But someone that knows, for this year, this is our plan, put it in place. Do we have people like that? Yes, we have. But can we get those people in place? That's a different question entirely. I don't care if it's a state. I don't care if it's my next player. I don't care if it's a former referee. I don't even care who you are. Just come up and do something that will make everyone say, wow, this is an NFF player. You know, when you are leaving and people will tell you, we literally keep begging you, please don't go. That's someone we want, not someone that will spend 2 years and will be thinking, oh, 4 years is over.
Oh, that's a tough one. Bolo, I'm also interested. I'm also interested in asking you how everything panned out today. Did you meet your expectation? Were you thinking there was going to be fireworks, or the way it all turned out was?
I actually thought there would be chaos. Let me put it that way, especially from the players, you know, like Babangida and Ilunyosi.
We'll get to listen to them later on. Anyway.
Before now, but in the end, they came to a. People were still scared that. Hope this election will hold, because from what we were hearing before the AGA, you thought it's going to be battle. Some people jokingly said this election will not even end. The AGA will probably roll to the following day because there will be problems. But in the end, they all came to a general consensus that at least this election will hold on the 30th of September. Everything we need to put in place. Many persons have been doing campaigns low-key. Now it's your time to put in. If they will accept you or not, it's a different ballgame. So I think I was surprised that despite all the battles, they hit everything, they came to a reasonable conclusion. Now we know that the banter of will Pinnick go, will Pinnick run, will he go or not? Now we know he has said it himself. He is not wrong. Even though the boss, I don't think it's the boss. He will just be the boss till the election. Then the part of, oh, who will go? Will there be chaos? Will they find agreements? That part was also settled. They agreed on a date. Will the election hold? Yes. Okay, where will the venue be? Will they come to Lagos? Will they be in Abuja? They also agreed that this election will be in Benin. So I think despite all the expectations of many that they will agree, they all came together to agree. It means no matter the chaos they have, no matter the disagreements, at least the word football is still the major content in their mind.
All right, you mentioned people like Tijani Babangida, Players Union, issues about who gets what, how seats on the board get allocated, and all of that. Let's quickly listen to former Super Eagles winger Tijani Babangida and Ramsey Victor Baribote. Get their take, and of course, we head back to Austin to give us his thoughts. First, let's listen to those guys. Come back for more. Sports Tonight.
A member that collected palliative, recognized by FIFA, a member recognized by the board, a member that already their signatory is still in the constitution of NFF, that is statutory, and they are not invited. You can have another union, but are those the ones you call union? Are they passed by the Congress? Did our signature is changed in the Congress? No, we're still members of the Congress. And let me tell you, most of the FA chairmen, they know about this, and they already alerted these people that you cannot hold your Congress without the real union, which we know, and their signatory are there. We didn't change. If you want to change it, we'll bring it to the Congress before the Congress. And even if you bring it to the Congress, you cannot expel one of the 5 components that come and make them work. You bring them to the ethics committee, where they will invite the president, and then they are going to tell me exactly what is my fault, what we do as a union, and I can be able to defend, and they can bring it back to the Congress. Then the Congress can be able to take a decision on it. Maybe it has been happening before, but I believe that now it's different because the union becomes one.
I belong to the South South, and Article 33 said there shall be 15% of the board, each two representing each of the 6 geopolitical zones. And the person representing the South South on board the board of NFF, of which whatever decision I arrive at is binding us. And also we lost him and have not been replaced. Then 4 of them, the chairman of the various leagues, were appointed against the spirit and letters of Article 12C, Article 13B, and Article 33.6. Let me just go. Article 12C said members, one of the rights of members of the NFF, that they are to nominate candidates for all positions of NFF to be elected. Then 13B said all decision-making bodies of the NFF should be through election. So by the appointment of this thing, are we now saying that they've done the right thing? If the answer is in the negative, meaning that whatever they have done today, with the inclusion of these 4 members who are appointed rather than elected, amounts to nothing.
All right, Austin, we have just a few seconds to go on break, but over there, Bolo was telling me about how we're having factions of bodies of this, people questioning how some members get onto the board. This is how it should be done. This is the way it was done, and all that. And it looks to me like a recipe for trouble.
Exactly. I mean, I keep reminding administrators of sports in Nigeria, whenever you have a problem, solve it. until you solve that problem, it will remain a problem. And Tijani Babangida made a very clear statement as regards where the ex-players are, particularly in the constitution, guiding the governance of football in Nigeria. Then trust Romson Baribote to come out with all the facts, and he went straight into that status and was breaking it down. That's a problem. It means that we're still joking with this thing. It means that we're not respecting the same guidelines that are supposed to be, governing football in Nigeria. And that's a major problem. But let's put a pause on that conversation. Go on this break. When we come back, Shehu Diko, second vice president of the Nigerian Football Federation, is also saying, look, we need to review the statute. It's Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Don't go anywhere. Stay.
That was sent to FIFA. This election at the beginning, before the Congress, is that there has to be the meeting, there has to be the status review, and then there has to be the election. That was the roadmap. So now the Congress have to look at whether those three roadmaps can be achieved within this period. Otherwise, we can deliver the election and then also deliver the review immediately after the election. So, but I don't know about that, but it is the process and the FIFA now will decide whether that is enough time to do that. But I can tell you, even when we come in today, we come in with there were ideas and conversation about the critical areas of the statutes that need to be touched up to be able to make it more balanced and be able to move with the times. As we said, we haven't touched the statutes for over 12 years now, since 2009 to date. And football has been developing. There are a lot of directives from FIFA that say we should do that. But that notwithstanding, we have an unintended situation that nobody cared for. Remember, the NFF have since August 8, 2021, held a special congress in Benin. And the only agenda was the review of the statutes. And the committee was set up to come up with a review of statutes. The idea was that statutes would lead to this election. But all these court orders, everything that come in to say that we cannot have a meeting, we cannot discuss, have derailed the process. But now we'll see whether the members are still having conversation to decide the best way to go about it.
So there you have it, NFF second vice president, Shehu Diko, saying for about 9 years now, we've been going back and forth as regards the review of the status. Bolu, I listened to Shehu Diko, and I'm saying we're going to have some problems.
Well, I think everyone will have to agree that the statute is a major problem, not just in football, almost all the sports we have. I remember the basketball issue that the ad hoc committee can agree on something. So we need to really see. I think one of the best solutions we can have, the sport minister sit in an office, call if possible all the federation heads, sit down and maybe some members, review if possible every statute we have, especially football, because we've had chaos in NBBF basketball, we have chaos in AFN athletics, even supporters club for Super Eagles have factions. If we don't sit down to put all these things in place, election would come. Then what will happen? Sometimes it's not the election itself, it's the post-election. Then you hear someone come up with I won or an election somewhere. So we need to review the statutes before the 30th of September. Because if you have almost 50 people being allowed to vote, and about 37 of them are from one faction. Believe me, Austin, the state will keep winning the election until we sit down and rewrite the statutes. You may disagree with Diko on many grounds, but I think on the statutes review, you need to. We had a bit of a chaos 8 years ago. Austin, if we don't sit down to review this thing, come September 30, hopefully we won't get to have the same problems again. 8 years on, we need to have learned from our mistakes.
And Yemi, it seems we're loving these problems, and these problems keep pulling us back, because everything rises and falls on leadership and to an extent administration. For instance, these ex-players, what's the problem? Why can't we have them to come out, with a meaningful number to vote? Tijani Babangida, been there, done that, calling for these reviews. Why are they looking away?
I still don't understand. But Bolo alluded to something, and that's why I think it's a reflection of a bigger picture. You look at small groups that you think should handle themselves, there shouldn't be issues, they have issues. And you see, those tiny drops, by the time it merges, you have people who are used to having this kind of chaos before things get settled. And ideally, it shouldn't be so. Things should be seamless because you know the laws, you know the statutes, you know how people should be elected into positions, how people should be nominated into positions. You have all of that, and then you don't have one body recognizing this faction over this faction. And it scares me what Bolu just said. I just hope we won't be back where we were 8 years ago, because there are guys who are already spoiling for war. You know, there are people who are already telling you this thing is against the statutes, and if you don't listen to me, I mean, without mentioning names, you already know 1 or 2 people that I mean who perpetually live in the courts, and they're always ready to go there. Once you give them that opportunity, they're back there, and it draws us back. And one thing I also have a problem is, and Bolu also rightly alluded to that, I think the sports ministry has a duty to call these federations to order. What are your statutes? What are the rules? You know, because people use these things like cloak and dagger. Whatever suits them is what they let us know. You know how it used to be when people threaten us with, oh, FIFA is going to ban you. FIFA is going to, we are telling you do the right thing. Then the next thing you tell us is FIFA is going to, you know, all of these things need to be sorted out. And those are the things I really worry about.
I worry too, Yemi, and I'm glad you've just mentioned the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. I know some will be quick to send me a message and say the ministry cannot do everything, but leadership can oversee some of these things, and leadership can take a stance. This thing has been going on time and time again, and we're saying, oh, aren't we just getting by with our football? No, we're not, because this problem still exists. So I just hope that they will get these things done so we don't hear ugly tales before September the 30th, or court order coming out to stop that Congress in Benin City. Let's show maturity. Let's show professionalism. Joe Pinnick has cleared the air. I'm not going for 3rd term. That one now is out of the way. He has said, let's be united, NFF. We're hoping to see that. But those little areas where we know that if we're avoiding, we are just cooking problems. That's where I'm concerned with the NFF, particularly with the administration of the status and the governance of football in Nigeria. So they must find a way to be responsible, to be professional, and give us the right process to bring in the next president of the Nigeria Football Federation. And Bolo, before we drop this conversation, whoever is coming should know that these are delicate times. We will not also hear stories. Is it now you're coming to, you know, take football from one particular level where it is now to a place where fans, followers, the country will be excited with their football again? Well,
yeah, should I say outgoing, or at least the current NFF president, Majupini, talked about the new president, we should not. And I like your counter statement that if you win everything and the Super Eagles don't qualify for the World Cup, you will get the sticks, because Nigeria has grown to a level where we expect much more. For example, if the Falcons don't win the World Cup, you can still say, okay, but if the Falcons don't qualify, there's trouble. It's because they built that status. They've risen to that level. So whoever is coming, it's a hot seat. It is not maybe just an ordinary board member. It is the president of the Nigeria Football Federation. So whatever happens, whatever you do, you need to make us think, okay, well, Amadou Pinnick tried, but we are not missing him. We shouldn't have a president that will make us think we wish Amadou Pinnick went for 3rd time. No. We need someone who will do much more than Pinnick do, bring in lots of money. The team succeed much under him. We see influx of under 17 into under 20 and into the Super Eagles. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen, but it has to be a planned work, not just fluke. No, things like that don't just come. You need to plan for it.
Okay, I hope that will be the case. All right, we don't want to spend the whole of the time talking about the annual General Assembly that was held in Lagos. Let's give some time to talk about the girls that have made us proud right there in Costa Rica. And let me just throw this to Bolu quickly. And 3 wins in 3. I mean, it's something you have to be impressed with.
Well, like they will say in the local way, chee, that was beauty. When they went down a goal, I was scared a bit. That in all the games, they've been defensively resilient, defended well. The goalkeeper has made about 10 saves in this tournament. I said, oh, wow. Then when they went to go down due to the blunder from the keeper, you would be scared that how can she get herself back into the game? You know, even for matured players, when they commit blunders, you're always scared that will this person recover in this game? But she recovered, she bounced back. And the team, that was literally the only time they were behind in the game. They were on the front foot for the rest of the game. Then they got a well-deserved penalty in the 24th minute. And about 8 minutes later, they got another well-deserved penalty. you have to confess about one thing for these Falconets. They are a well-coached team. Then when you look at the person coaching them, if there's one of the female coaches or women's coaches we have in Nigeria with loads of experience, Chris Danjuma has to be among the top, and it shows his influence on the team. They've not played the same way in the 3 games. They had a change in dynamics in the 3 games. They defended more against France in the first game. They were more balanced in the second game against South Korea, and they picked their break very well. And against Canada, they dominated the game from the 3rd minute all through till the end of the game. They could have scored more than 3 in that game. So they are a coached team. And there are girls who listen to the coach because you could see the impact in them all through. Can they win this tournament? I know they're still very far. They have a big hurdle against Netherlands in the quarterfinal. But from what they've done in the first 3 games, I think you have to be confident to say that these girls are doing well, and hopefully they don't drop the anchor. They can drop it when they win the tournament. But for now, you have to just give them all but praises, both the players and the coach.
All right, you have to give them praises for what they've done, and hopefully we'll see. Let's take a look at, and we'll get back to Austin to get his thoughts, but let's see how it looks. After 3 matches, it feels good to see Nigeria on top, really. 9 points. I mean, 100%. So let's just see and talk about it. Everybody, every team that was put in front of the Falconets defeated. A lot of us wanted to see it as we saw it yesterday. They went behind and they came back. And so there you have it on your screen. I mean, I don't need to ask you again how pleased you are with what is on the screen. I am super pleased with what you have on your screen. Nigeria topping in a group that you have France, Korea Republic, and Canada, ending with 9 points and securing passage to the next round. Let me just throw in one more. I'm very sure Austin has a question or two for you. You look at this and you want to believe that the girls will be super confident going into the next round.
Well, some persons talked about they could afford to lose the game against Canada that they've already qualified. I said no. Luckily, they didn't lose, because if they had lost that game, they would be second. I don't think I want us to face Japan now. I think they are the most successful team at this stage. Netherlands are not easy, right? They defeated US 3-0, defeated Ghana as well.
4-1.
But at least for now, I'm excited at what they are bringing. I like the way they've been moving on. I like their playing style. If not for the error, they probably would have gone all clean sheets in the group stage. Now they know what to do. They know what's at stake. I want to believe that they would have seen the clips of the Dutch girls. This is their strength. This is their weakness. Like we discussed before the start of the tournament, man for man in terms of muscle, I don't think they can out-muscle us. But now that's an advantage. But they need to now bring in the intellect. They need to now bring in the flair. They need to bring in the football. They need to bring in the passes. Look at their first goal they scored inside the a beautiful defense-splitting pass in the first game. The second game, they scored from about 25, 30 yards. The third game, they had games all through. They passed literally into the box for the third goal. So I like them this way. Hopefully it continues.
I mean, in a minute, if you can, what you have on your screen is the quarterfinal fixtures. Now, you said you didn't want Japan. Now you have the Netherlands. They've beaten an African team. I have a feeling they know what to expect against Nigeria.
Well, they're beating an African team. We're beating every continent. We're beating Asia. We're beating North America. We're beating Europe also. So they should be growing in confidence. But one thing is certain. The Dutch girls can score more than others we played in our group stage. So they have to defend better. Am I confident they can win? Yes. I know Dutch girls are not the easiest ride, but this is a better option than to play Japan. But I think the way the girls have been going, people are not looking at their defending that much because, well, they've not considered and they went. No, the first game, especially against France, they defended they even considered a goal, but the goalkeeper was fouled. So I think they are good to go for the quarterfinal against the Netherlands. Just continue the way you are going. Don't be too predictable from what we say. You can't say that this is how these girls will play. And that's been their strength and advantage. So hopefully they walk past the Dutch girls, and whoever comes, maybe Spain or Mexico in the semi-final, walk past them as well.
All right, but let's already talk about the semi-finals. All right, after that win, Coach Christopher Dandema obviously very happy with his team's performance. He's been reacting to that win. Let's just quickly listen to him. We'll come back for more on Sports Tonight.
Yes, the quarterfinal, which becomes the knockout, that is where a man goes out in the quarterfinal, that's the end. So we're going to approach it with every second, in short, if there's a minute thing of a second, we're going to make sure that every one of those is detailed and make sure that we come out unscratched by the grace of God.
The way we approach France is the way we are going to approach other teams. They are not exceptional. They are not even more than France. They didn't play more than France, because I know that France is a difficult team to beat. So we are going to approach them. We are not going to look down on anyone. We are going to respect every opponent we are going to meet in this quarterfinal stage.
All right, so Austin, you're all smiles. We're all smiles here as well. Christopher Danjuma. And somebody told me yesterday, I don't know if you agree, it says the difference between each team and some of the Nigerian teams, even the male teams that we've seen this year, is that you could see that there's an input from the bench. There's coaching. I don't know if you agree.
I totally agree. You know, Christopher Danjuma knows this team. And if followers of women's football in Nigeria have been following Christopher Danjuma, he's someone who is always particular about style. Not a particular style, but changing style depending on the kind of opponent you're playing. Check the way they approach France. It wasn't the same way they approached Korea. It wasn't the same way they approached Canada. But one thing has been constant: character. This team has shown good character. And that's why people are asking me, Austin, Esther, we didn't hear Esther. It was Flourish that Treasure that was the talk during the qualifiers. But now everyone is looking towards Esther. Fantastic player from RoboQuiz, doing good things at that competition. Christopher Danjuma has been able to let them understand how to play as a team and have different styles in approaching different opponents. And that's why I'm not bothered about the Netherlands. And at this stage, no pressure, because these girls, they've shown that they've got quality. So they're going to approach that one the way the coach says go out and execute it. They will monitor that team. You made a good point that they have beaten an African team. So it means the Netherlands know how to play an African team. But now with this Christopher Danjuma's team, because he knows the girls, I don't want to start talking about the Super Falcons and the coach that didn't know his team. He knows his team very well, and that's why you can see those tactical changes. You can see the character. They are not scoring goals 75th minute, 80 minutes. You are not shaking, because you know a particular change will come and to turn things around. And imagine them scoring one goal and holding on to it. Okay, we'll say let them be tested. Then Canada scored first. And then they clapped back. That's a hallmark of a team that is getting better match after match. And that's kudos to the technical input of Christopher Danjuma. So kudos to the coach and his technical crew and these fantastic ladies. We love what we're seeing at the under-20 level. There's been loads of complaints and side talks about the quality of players we have in the Super Falcons. That's a peep to the future, Yemi and Bolu.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, you talked about Esther, so it's a good opportunity for you to take us through what you think about Esther and also help us to listen to what she has to say.
Yeah, we're just listening to Esther saying that they're not bothered about the Netherlands, that you can't say the Netherlands is better than France. And I totally agree with the youngster. She's a fantastic player inside that box. When they were playing Korea, I tweeted something, I think about the 80th minute. I said, I just hope that the Four Corners can give us a late goal and make us happy. And then Esther clapped with that stunner of a goal to give the Four Cornets the win. It's not just about Esther. I mentioned another name that was big during the qualifiers, and now we've also seen some young players who are showing good character, who are showing professionalism, who are showing that they can listen to a coach and go out there and execute the plans. This is a team, it's a solid team that understands every assignment that they are told to, go out and execute. So let's just hope that they go all the way. But because we know football is funny, where anything can happen. Whatever happens against the Netherlands, let's still be proud of what these ladies have achieved. But I'm super confident that if they go out there, execute that game the way they've executed the group matches, there's no way they will not make it to the semifinals. So shout out to Esther and her teammates, Coach Christopher Danjuma and his team, and the NFF to some level, because NFF will come now and say, you see, they didn't say anything about us. The NFF, for what they did during the qualifiers, to get into the World Cup, but we will always say, let's do more.
Let's do more. All right, Austin, again, let's move forward. Let's talk about the under-23 team. Of course, we're waiting for our opponent. We're through the second round, and it's going to be whoever wins between Tanzania and South Sudan match to be played First leg to be played in October, and second leg to be played around 28 to 30. We've not had much, but that's the nature of under-23. Really, when the Olympics begin to draw near, that's when you will begin to hear about them and the under-23 AFCON. But at least we know that they will be in action soon.
And that's why there should be deliberate and strategic planning, because this is a team that doesn't really play. You should have a special program. I'm sure by the time I hand over to Bolu now, he will struggle to tell me about this under-23 team, particularly with the country's last, experience of not qualifying for the Tokyo Olympics. But we should be thinking about transition. We should be thinking about, if you want to say this is between Tanzania or South Sudan playing Nigeria, we shouldn't shake. We should be able to assemble players from the NPFL to go execute this one. But just because we always fold our hands and say, it's the Olympics, we'll get a way to get it done. But Bolu, let's talk about this one. I know it's a bit tricky because players will be busy with their clubs and all of that. But then again, I insist that the NFF must come out with a strategic program that can help the under-23 team prepare properly for qualifiers.
There's nothing that beats strategy. Let's go back to when we won the Africa Cup of Nations in 2013 under the big boss. He had time to prep the NPFL players months before the tournament. So people thought he just took NPFL players. No, he didn't just take them. He prepared for them. So for this guy, like you rightly said, we can prosecute purely NPFL players and still do well. Look at the last under-17 boys. We had, I think, a player who was scoring free kicks for fun. And the coach said he wasn't even the only one. I know someone that said it was at the training that they were practicing that. There's nothing wrong in moving some of these boys, be part of this under-23 squad. We have under-20 team. Add them together. We have Chan. Some of those boys are younger. Bring them together and let them play as a team. Not just, it's 2 weeks to the games. Let's just bring anybody that is a Nigerian from anywhere that is young, pack them together. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be intentional. These guys shouldn't be, normally you shouldn't be scared of the Tanzanians and co. But if you remember, we didn't qualify like you said for the last Olympic Games, you should be scared. It means we need a proper plan. We shouldn't be scared. We can pick players from NPFL. We have young guys there. We can pick from the 17. We can pick from the 20. We have young boys, but we need to plan for them. Not just select boys to go and play. No, we will end up failing.
Okay. Interesting take from Bolu Omoni in that one. We're pressed for time. So let's just quickly take a look at what is happening in athletics, and let's just quickly talk about the AFN. The AFN president talking about Okowa, and of course he's been talking about how impressed he is with what has been happening in athletics. And of course, let's just listen to him. Last few months has been very good for Nigerian athletes. Did so well at the World Championships and did well again at the Commonwealth Games. Let's hear his thoughts. We'll come back to digest what he has to say.
To God be the glory. You don't take the glory of God. To God be the glory. We did well in Oregon. For the first time, we can beat our hand on our chest and say, thank God for everything that happened, and kudos to the athletes that did well. Toby Amusu was extraordinary. That's the lady that broke 2 world records in one day. The first one, 12.12. And then the second one, though they said is though it was wind assisted, she got 12.06. Even if they would have converted it, would still have been another feat. So the good thing is that she won the gold medal and she broke the world record. Ese Brume got a silver. We are going to definitely have welfare packages for them, but it's not going to be only the athletes anymore. It will be with the coaches too. Don't forget, not too long ago, you may have heard that Premium Trust, our marketing consultant, got a sponsorship deal for us. This sponsorship will go, major part of the money will go to the athletes, to the welfare package of the athletes. The coaches, we're looking at bringing in resource people to come and do clinicals here so that a lot of the athletics coaches will benefit from it. If we do that twice a year, and they will be able to get certificates from it.
All right, so Tony Bokoko there speaking his mind. I mean, of course, he can be allowed to play his trumpet. Last few months has been good. And he also talk about plans to help the athletes and some of the things they're planning to do.
Well, like they say, success has many friends. But again, it just I've done here. Let me use Austin's favorite phrase. Don't just talk the talk, walk the talk. We've heard words enough. We want to see these things. You know, sometimes we don't see and you give the action. People will start saying for you. Not just tell us things, oh, okay, they want to hear these things, and a month, 2 months, 3 months. I remember when they talked about the Paralympians, that they will have program for them after the Paralympic Games. Well, maybe the program starts tomorrow. So I think I like that he's also seeing what we are saying. These guys are doing well. We need to now push them harder. The truth is, every world champion can even offer more, and we need to give them much more.
All right. So, I mean, a few years to the Olympics, it looks like the calendar is set. Do you think this period, I don't know if I asked you this last week, but this is very important. We bring it up. People are singing their praises, rightly so. They have the right to do that. But do you think all of the things we've achieved in the last few months will be a turning point, or we're going to be back to where we used to be?
Some 25, 30 years ago, Nigeria was the first to reckon with in terms of athletics. For whatever reason, we nosedived. We nosedived very well. Now it feels like we're right. So bad that even legendary racer, sprinter, Michael Johnson was talking about, well, nobody expected that motion to win. Something has to be wrong with the time and everything. Now, at the World Athletic Championships, you won, set a record. At the Commonwealth Games, the Nigerians kept telling Michael Johnson, can you still see her now? One thing is certain, at the 2020 Olympic Games in Paris, people now know that this is what these guys have. And we cannot go there and mess up. We can't go there and fumble. It means if you are running 11 seconds, you need to do everything you can to run 10 seconds because everyone wants to get you now. One thing is sure in the races, even if my best is 10, if I see someone in front of me running 9, I will want to catch up. So it means if you don't know Tobi Amusan before that, who is just this Nigerian girl jumping, we know who she is now. Who is this Ebrume? She was lucky to win bronze at the Olympic Games. Now everybody knows who she is. The likes of Blessing and okay, well done, you made a mistake at the Olympics. Well, Blessing just luckily picked a silver. Now we know what you can offer. At least all our Paralympians, everybody knows these ladies and guys are going for gold. But at least the athletes at the Olympic Games, people didn't expect much. One thing is sure. Everyone will be looking out for them now, either in athletics, weightlifting, high jump, whatever. Everyone is looking out for them now. We've set the standard now. South Africa pushed themselves so high that people expect we start counting medals for South Africa. Ethiopia and Kenya, you always look out for the long races. For the short ones, the athletics and everything, now we need to prepare harder for them. It is somewhat late now, but it's still not too late. Michael Phelps is the greatest Olympian. It was not meant to be at the 2014 Rio Olympics. But when he came out of retirement to go, he still practiced for 2 years. That's someone that could swim in his sleep. It means we need to do much more. It is still not too late to prepare. And hopefully, if we do the right things, we'll bring home gold medals at the Olympic Games.
All right. That's a good place to let it land. Bula Omori, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully, we'll do this again next week.
Definitely. It's always a pleasure.
All right. As made the show today, I, of course, I still have Austin with me, and we're going to wrap things up on the show tonight. It's been an interesting ride, Austin. And of course, we'll hopefully land this at this very moment. I don't know if you have anything to say about what Bolu just said, but I think the recipe
It was actually the Tonobo Kokoa. I love the confidence he's using to say they're doing so well now and all of that. I was with him in Birmingham, and I actually told him that the AFM needs to be thorough. The AFM must start branding our athletes, and we cannot keep making the same mistakes. I spoke to the minister, and I told the minister that it was shameful that the letter I was missing on an athlete kit in Oregon. That same mistake was repeated in Birmingham. So the AFM must start thinking of ways to start doing the right things, because our athletes are getting on the podium now. So those little details must be respected to brand them properly. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I just hope our voices will be heard and the right things will be done. And so that's how we have to wrap things up on the show today. And hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
That's it.
All right, so that's the show today. We do hope that you've enjoyed everything we've been able to do. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'm Yema Adebayo. Bye-bye now.